I'm JJ Harris. I am based out of Oakland. I've been out here for about 8 years now, and I run a small film production, photo, basically firm agency. I specialize in short documentaries, events, and a lot of the stuff I do, most of the stuff I do is centered around inclusive narratives, people of color, women, everything across the board, really highlighting the stories that don't get told in the beautiful commercial, like high end light that we get, you know. So that's really been my focus. That's been like my bread and butter, I would say, for the last 6 to 8 years or so. But I also am a drone pilot. And a photographer. I like to take portraits. I like to do travel work. And I'm also starting to get into digital marketing as like a response to everything going on. So
Sure.
That's just a little bit of the stuff that I'm into.
Okay. And how has the pandemic affected your business?
It pretty much shut my entire business down, I would say. Like, you probably have gone through this too, but I mean, most of my, jobs, all my jobs that I had mapped out for the year already were events, big events too, like big tech events. I do a lot of work with like Facebook. That's one of my biggest clients. And they were one of the first, I feel like the big tech companies were one of the first people to actually like shut things down as far as big jobs that were coming out. So I was supposed to be at South by Southwest, I was supposed to be at GDC, the Game Developers Conference, covering a lot of things. So they shut down GDC and I was like, hold up, like what is really? They just gonna shut down like one of the biggest conferences in America, like all of a sudden?
Yeah.
That was before it was really in the media, before everybody was really like at high alert. They shut that down. So it kind of put me in a place where maybe I was a little bit ahead of the curve because I was freaking out before everybody else was.
Yeah.
But I don't ever want to freak out. That's not how I ever want to feel. So I can't say it was a great experience, but it's pretty much shut down my business. And I've had to really focus on like, what am I going to pivot into?
Yeah. I know a lot of big companies were quick to shut things down. I think Salesforce as well was ahead of the curve. I had done some work at Mobile World Congress out in Barcelona, and same thing. They shut that down in a hurry, which is good. I think much faster than the government reacted, and I think that potentially saved a lot of people from getting caught up with the coronavirus. With a change like that, like how do you cope with that? How did you cope with that? How did you kind of like come to grips with the fact that your entire schedule was wiped out?
I mean, it's been a wild ride, to be honest. I really, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm used to riding the waves, but I've built a life in the last 5 years, 6 years of like, okay, I know how the waves go, so I know how to anticipate the waves, right? Mm-hmm. So I really pride myself in being able to navigate the waves and being able to ride them well. But it's this has been one that nobody really could have seen coming, right? And everybody, and it's not just a regional thing, like everybody in the world is feeling it. So for me, I've really been tapping into my spiritual practices, which I've always, not always, but, I've definitely been, developing over the course of my whole life, right? So that's, helped as far as like meditation and nature. Like, thank God we can still go on hikes, at least for now, right? Because it'd be lit at the park. So I'm like, I don't know if they're going to keep it like this, but at least for now, we can still be outside, and that's been a blessing. But yeah, a big part for me has been like, I mean, on a nitty gritty side, like really looking at my finances with like a fine tooth comb and like seeing exactly like, what do I have coming in? what projects do I still have on the table, like video editing things I can, I know is coming in, and how much money am I actually going to be spending? Like, what can I cut back on? That was huge for me. Like, just because I'm pretty good with that, but I'm not fantastic with like the nitty gritties of dollars coming in and out. So getting more like that has given me a sense of peace, and just giving me some, a little bit of like, okay, I know exactly how long I can last, right? Like without solid income. So that's really helpful. It's scary, but it's really helpful. And it makes me be like, okay, I got a couple weeks to chill, or I got 1 month to chill. And then I really need to figure out how I can start getting some solid income that replaces what I had before.
Yeah.
So I'd say, those two things, like the spiritual, tapping in with my spiritual practices, and getting really right with my finances.
Yeah. I think there's some validity. Actually, there's a lot of validity in being hyper aware of what you have coming in and what you have going out. I know even just like media subscriptions such as Netflix and Hulu. I mean, we're all like, oh, let me just consume. Like, I want all of them, but do we need all of them in this time? Can we cut that? Or can we buy a different type of bread, or, little things like that can help preserve this famine phase, I guess. That's what I keep hearing. It's a famine phase for those of us that are creatives and entrepreneurs and run our own small business.
That's money.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been going through all those things to figure out. Just my next step is like, okay, applying for unemployment.
Yeah.
Went through that whole process as a business owner, and like I'm incorporated. So we kind of fall, and as a small business, like, and incorporated, we kind of fall in that like gray area. So just kind of, going to work on navigating that next. Yeah. But for the most part, I'm kind of ready to pivot, bro. I've been already pivoting. So this is kind of like just another push that's kind of pushing me to go to the next level right now.
Yeah. One of the things that I find interesting is it feels like we've all been put in the same box. And it's up to us to find a creative solution to get out of the box. What are you working on now as far as, thinking about what direction you're going to go or how you're going to get out of the box?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's interesting though, because, everybody right now is being forced to think of like, what can I do on the internet to make money, right? I think I also think like that. I've been thinking like that for probably, 5 years now. Like, there's a lot of people making money on the internet in their sleep. Like, how do I get a piece of that action? Yeah. That's been in the back of my head for a long time now. So I've made some steps towards that, but I really, a part of me is like happy about that. But then I really do like the face-to-face interaction. I do like events because they bring people together that wouldn't normally connect. And things get made, beautiful interactions happen. All the best projects I've ever, gotten in my life, I would say were 95% of them were like people I just happened to meet at an event. We kept in touch, things grew until the point of like, oh, boom, you're like bringing me with you to like go to Brazil to film this, this event, right? And I guess I'm just lamenting, but I'll miss that if we don't get that back. But I do love just the idea of leveraging the digital space to bring more efficiencies to how we work with each other, connecting more people across the globe at one time. So I guess that's a long way to answer your question, but to answer your question, how I'm thinking out of the box is I've started, I mentioned digital marketing. I'm kind of starting to dabble with, and I guess digital marketing in the sense of like super niche, very particular subject matters, people who are mostly knowledge experts, helping those knowledge experts reach, to their audience directly with products, whether that's e-courses, whether that's master classes or mastermind groups that they create, very private, very specific focused mastermind groups. I'm working with like one of my good friends. She's a world famous henna artist. She does like henna body art for like brides, but then, dope stuff. Like she goes to Burning Man and she'll like set up a booth at Burning Man.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about, because her skills are like at that level. But, I realized, there's a lot of people who do have these skills, but don't necessarily know how to monetize those. And as media creators, like we are, we have the skills, right? We have the skills, the know-how of how people ingest content, how people actually, use media, and what type of media people like. But there's a big disconnect between the actual people who are like the knowledge experts. So this is my first trial run, like working with her directly, but we're like working on building up her brand as a knowledge expert. And it's really cool to be, I've always made these films a lot for corporate, entities, where I make these videos. I put all this time, I put 30, 40 hours to making this 2.5 minute video, and like 100 people see it within the company.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just really reached the point where like, it just doesn't fly for me anymore to just make content that only a couple people get to enjoy and get to experience. Like I want to build a more direct relationship where the content that I create goes directly to the people that it's for. And I'm working on that with one of my best friends right now and getting her up and running. And that's been really dope. So
yeah. It's a different way to look at media, a different way to look at messaging, right? Like, saying something different because it's more of an established brand. I feel like that's a really great way to pivot because, there are a lot of small companies that are going to need to continually build in this process. More so, I'd say than in the past. One of the concerns I have is that all of these small businesses and restaurants have a potential of being wiped out, because, like it's not cheap to rent a storefront or a restaurant in the Bay Area, let alone maintain when you have no source of revenue. It's been fascinating to see a lot of these companies pivot to more delivery services, even grocery stores like Mandela Grocery that didn't offer a delivery service, be able to pivot in like a week and a half to start offering delivery to meet the needs of those, the elderly, the more at-risk people. So that's been really fun. I think, there's going to be a lot more of that small business that needs brand services. And I think, someone like you that's got kind of the whole package in one is going to be able to step up and meet the need. Being quarantined, what are you doing at home that's creative? What is the mindset? Are you like in the mindset of I need to create something, or are you in the mindset of I need to just relax and like let my mind wander? Or, how are you approaching this quarantine?
I wish I did have like a solid approach, Sean. I wish like I really am taking it day by day right now. Like I got like a few projects that I'm still finishing up, from before the quarantine that are in post. So, I have those to kind of give me some like, okay, today I need to finish this. But for the most part, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm chilling. Now that I know I have a little bit of time to like take to myself, I'm chilling. And I'm spending a lot of time with my girl. We're co-quarantined together. So it's so nice to have somebody here, you know, and it's kind of wild. She's an online facilitator. She also facilitates in person, but she's like rolling still because her business is booming. She's been using Zoom for like 6 years, 8 years, something like that. Her business is booming. So I got to kick her out so I can just have my little like creative time because my business is the opposite right now. Yeah. So I take time to chill and I try to listen to myself. Like, what do I need? Like, do I need to sleep in today? Do I need to like mess around with my lighting equipment and like just record some silly videos at home? Like, it's kind of funny, man. So I got into videos. Actually, before I got into videos, I was into music.
Okay.
And I haven't touched music ever since I got into videos. But, you know, I still got my keyboard sitting over here taunting me with dust on it.
Yeah.
And I've been inspired to start making music again.
Nice.
Because there's a part of me that was always there, like, make music, you got to make music again. So now I'm like, I have room to make music. So I've been like kind of learning some new software, the software that people use now, trying to get a feel for it a little bit.
What are you learning? What software?
Ableton, because I guess that's what most of people are using in like the hip hop and house world. And that's kind of the two main areas that I'm interested in. So I'm learning Ableton, man, learning how to make music again right now.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on my Facebook or my Instagram, but I got an ad for a masterclass, like for Ableton for like $29 or something like that.
Oh, wow, dog. Yeah. If you find that link, definitely send that to
me. I will. Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in
that. I'm tempted too. So when I was in Minnesota, I had a full like music studio, keyboards and drums and racks of equipment. And in January, I went back and pulled all that stuff. So I've got my keyboard right over there. I'm like, I'm itching to play too, but then I got so busy doing other stuff that, it's crazy. No, that's good. I think that's a good place to be. I just read an article recently about allowing yourself to be bored. And that's kind of paraphrased completely, but because creativity isn't something that you can force always. And in a time like this, where there feels like this, you gotta create. It feels almost more intense than the way it was before. And I think, taking time to like decompress, figure out, and like you said, like listen to yourself. That's amazing that you're able to hear that and to follow through with that.
Yeah, doing my hardest, man. It's like I said, it's an everyday process.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, it's getting better, I would say. And, handling the stress, I think a lot of people are really stressed right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people are taking the time to even acknowledge it.
No.
Because it's like so much happening. It's so much being thrown at us, so much new stimuli, this whole new way of life. A lot of people aren't really taking time to even acknowledge like the stress that they're feeling. So I'm like I was doing the same thing. Like I was running and I was feeling creative. I was like, I had this ideas for these e-courses. I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire if I make this e-course like next week. I just have to not sleep for 5 days straight and I can make this thing. But now I'm like, I wasn't even really hearing myself, and really I needed to just be and just be with the feelings for a little bit. That was the only, and now I'm finally getting to a place where I feel a little bit more balanced, and I think I can do more with that than being in that kind of like that agitated, like, I got to do something mode all the time. Like I don't function well.
Yeah. My girlfriend just posted on her Instagram yesterday, the day before, something like that. She's like, I can't tell if this pain in my chest is anxiety or the virus. Like,
oh, wow.
Because like we are feeling it, like whether we acknowledge it or not. I think there is definitely some added pressure, some added stress, whether it be financial, like lack of work, or, for some people, just being in the same confined space with someone else is challenging. but it's so good that you're able to slow down and actually let yourself think. I think that's really great advice. You do all of your own editing, is that right?
For the most part. For the most part, not by choice, but yeah.
I mean, do you have any tips or tricks when it comes to making quick edits, or just anything for the viewers that might like inspire something to practice or something to work on?
Yeah, I guess as far as video editing, let me think about that one for a second. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what software that you use, but for me, I mean, this is probably true for all people who like shoot and edit. I like before I even turn on the camera, like I like to know what it is I'm actually, what do I want to get out of this, right?
Right.
Am I, I'm turning on the camera. Is this going to be a 2 minute like how to? Is this going to be like a 10 minute just sit down talking, just getting in my head and trying to explain like what's going through my mind, my process, or is this like an explainer video, right? My biggest tip as far as editing would just be, try to see, what the finished product is going to look like. Try to imagine what the finished product is going to look like even before you start filming. And then think about who is this actually for? Who is this video? Who actually would want to watch this video, and what do they want to see? And I kind of work backwards from there. And that's how that's how I go about my process.
Right. I mean, that kind of comes from the top, right? When you're taking the project on as a creative director, kind of guiding and figuring out what that flow is. I imagine being able to start on the front and work all the way through the back end makes it a little bit more fluid than if you're just to hand off a hard drive of footage and someone's got to tell a story from that.
And that's honestly what a lot of people are finding themselves in a position to be right now. Because we can, you can email the footage to whatever, somewhere else, Dropbox it and work on it. But I think I've got the feeling that a lot of people right now like have cameras, have phones, they teach a class, they teach a workout class, or they do yoga or whatever. They have a brick and mortar and they want to show off their products. They're being forced to actually use these tools, and they're also being forced to edit it because they don't have an editor on staff. So I think, it's really relevant for people today who are trying to get into it to think about what that means to, be a creative director in their own right in the projects that they're working on. Because it might be a lot, but I feel like that's the next level in being like a one man, one woman, one gender fluid person creative, because you have to think about all those roles. And or you could just hit me up, hit JJ, JJ at techboogie.com, and I can set you on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, are you thinking about taking edit only jobs in this time?
I'm going to put out a message to all my clients that it is something I'm potentially open to. I'd say I'm more interested though in doing like consultations for people who are trying to create the digital media themselves. For like small brands, small businesses, and how they can leverage, the equipment, their phones to create, appealing visual content that their customers would like. I'm more so interested in the consultation side than the actual like being stuck at a computer editing when I just want to be chilling.
Right. No, I feel that. I mean, that's another out of the box thought, right? Like, how can you leverage your expertise into helping others grow? I'm also questioning the type of content that's being created. I think I sent you an article about that. But like your previous clients or your clients that you have now, have you thought about, like helping them cut something new? So like if they have an event that's coming up when we get out of the quarantine, so that you can kind of repurpose the things that you already shot for something else. Have you thought about that solution?
I haven't. I guess because I'm an editor by default, and
Right.
I'm good at it for sure. But I don't ever look for editing work. Like if I reach a point where I'm like my back's to the wall and I'm like I need to make money, like I can start pushing editing. I think I realize though, like editing is a huge skill that I have, but this digital marketing skill that I've been building without even knowing that I was building it, I think is probably my most valuable skill right now. My editing is the easiest, quickest way, but kind of the more big picture, right? Like, because I feel more comfortable in the higher level planning producer space than I do in like the day-to-day grind of being an editor, right? I like to think big. I like to create movements. I like to create campaigns. And yeah, I would almost like, if I approach that, that area, I would do it as a team. I would do it as a partnership, actually, and work with somebody because, yeah, I wouldn't want to take on like a big corporate commercial level editing project, unless I have other people that are working with me. Usually when you're working in that realm, you have a producer, you have like a post-production supervisor, all that. But most of my projects are like just me and maybe one other person, two other people. So I guess it may be a little different because of just my niche that I'm
in. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I what I'm picking up that you're saying is that even though we're in this pandemic, you, depending on the project, you still want to rely on other people. You don't want to just close down and be just you. You want to still rely on other people. How, like looking at editors and assistants and production coordinators, how vital are those people even now? Because I know those are some of the people that are, maybe not necessarily making as much as the creative directors and that kind of stuff. They may be more paycheck to paycheck. Like how important is it to still bring in those type of people?
Man, I think it's important because I want to keep them around because when this thing, goes away, yeah, I rely on them so much for help, for guidance. I have a producer that I work with, and she's amazing. She's phenomenal. She's like the best producer I've ever worked with, Haley. And yeah, I want to make sure that I can keep her around because we've definitely got more projects to work on when this thing clears up. But it is really difficult. I honestly don't have an answer as far as maybe the people who aren't like in principal roles who might be, more check by check and they, are struggling to find work. I hope they're able to pivot and find things that can support them at this time because I think, we need them. You need them for sure. Like it's kind of to keep the projects flowing, right? So we don't have to get bogged down with all the nitty gritties on every day with these projects. So I appreciate them. Yeah.
Kind of switching a little bit and talking and thinking about presenting yourself, or piggybacking off what we just said for those people that are, maybe they don't have work, they're photographers, they're video, filmmakers and such. How important is a portfolio right now?
Man. Yeah, dude. It's like, that's actually one of my things right now is like, I've been thinking like my website's good, but it's not like top tier, right? Because I haven't updated it. I haven't made a new website in like 2 or 3 years. So, oh my God, it's so important to have a dope portfolio, just period, in the industry. But I think now is just a really good time to like rethink that, and how can you position it so it's, looking forward and looking towards the future. Because yeah, if you don't have a portfolio, I don't really understand how people get work like without it, because I've definitely relied on mine, and it's been one of the major driving factors in me like getting the level of work that I've gotten. Like even before I was getting my level of work, like my website looked like I was getting that level of work.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just stepped into it. It was a natural progression for me. So I mean, now is a really good time to get that portfolio tight, get your reel updated, put it on the internet, pump it out, because like right now people are so supportive of small businesses. I think just a lot more people are at home. They're in front of electronic devices. So if you give them something like some hope, and hope could be you just sharing, this project that you're really proud of, this personal project that you've been sitting on for like a year and you never edited it. It's such a great time to like give that to your community, and they'll love that, right? And they'll support you, and they'll share that. So it's such a good time to get that out. But if you just need to, be to yourself and like, gather yourself, then that's cool too. I would try to not feel bad and get caught up in I need to do this right now vibe, because I don't think that's really helpful. So,
No.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think, taking time to figure things out, taking time to work on a portfolio, both are viable. But, hopefully we're doing that out of a good place, and we're not like stressed about it. When someone is putting together their portfolio, you mentioned, like putting work out there that sets you up to get the work that you wanted. Tell me a little bit about like content strategy or marketing strategy behind that.
Yeah, I guess I really, it's figuring out what type of work do you want? Like, where do you see yourself in 3 years, right? 5 years? What type of projects do you see yourself working on? And then, I mean, really like creating or finding examples of that if you have done examples of that in the past, really like creating this portfolio, or maybe if you already have one, putting those projects at the top, right? Because most people aren't going to like scroll through your portfolio and look at all your content. They're only going to look at the first thing or the second thing that they see at the top. So it's really important to have that at the top. I would also make sure you have call to actions at the top. With all like the digital marketing stuff I've learned, it's really important to just tell people what you want them to do on your site. Whether they do it or not, that's up to them. But you have like an 80% higher chance of them doing an action if you directly tell them what to do. So it's like, reach out for a quote today. That should be at the top of your website. That should be like one of the first things that they see on your website. And if you have like a little form they can fill out, that's even better right there. So putting that call to action at the top, and putting, the best work forward in the area that you want to get, found in, I'd say that's your best thing. And this is a hot tip, but yeah, right now I would hit up all your clients and ask them to write you a Google review if they haven't already, because that's the only way you can show up on Google if people are searching in your market, is if you have like a decent amount of reviews on Google.
Right. That's a amazing tip. And I think a lot of people forget about that. These search services have shifted. I mean, it used to be SEO, it used to be all these other things that allowed you to be sought out on these search engines. But now they're competing with other things like Yelp and Foursquare and like all of these other companies that are really just trying to build their own community. So following the rules of those platforms is essential to being found. One last question. All considering situation, work, not work, what's one thing that you would like to share with everybody that would help them through a time like this?
If you're a creative and independent or small business, I think it's really important that we connect with each other and, you know, forums like this, but check on your people, check on, that person you collaborated with a couple of years ago that you've been meaning to, but haven't gotten in touch with them in a while. Like, I think the more we can like stay connected at this time and even extend our connections outside of just our immediate circle, that can only help us. And that can only like, yeah, I felt myself like getting really lifted up by connecting with a lot of people I haven't talked to in a long time. So even me just saying that, I'm like, dang, I got people I got to call today.
Totally. That's what, for me, this has been so uplifting in that sense and inspiring, because connecting with people that I don't see every day, or just sharing ideas and talking about things. This is as much for me as it is for you and everybody else. It's like, I kind of want everybody to get something out of it, so that it's not just, like, I'm not just trying to create content. I'm literally trying to connect with my network and my people, and just really, be there, be present in this space that we're now in. So that being said, man, I can't thank you enough for jumping on and sharing your place and your mindset. And I really can't thank you enough.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got to, I feel like this is our first time like really, really connecting. We're all
right.
at the Fed, you're shooting, I'm shooting. But yeah, it's cool to finally sit down and talk, even online, virtually.